Thank you everybody for joining this afternoon. My name is Kristell. I'm one of the enrollment advisors here at Heriot-Watt University. This is a Q&A with the Edinburgh Business School, so if you have any questions, we'll be able to answer them. I am joined by my colleague Vari, who is in the chat, so if you have questions, she may be answering as well. Before I get started, I just want to do a quick sound check. You should all be able to hear me. If you're experiencing any trouble, if you're joining from a web browser on your computer, please try refreshing the page. That usually fixes everything. Also, ensure that your speakers are switched on and connected to Microsoft Teams. If you are still having trouble though, please pop a message in the Q&A box and we'll be able to help. Thanks everyone. All right, so just a brief overview of what we'll be talking during this webinar. So I'll give an introduction to the enrollment process with Edinburgh Business School at Heriot-Watt University. I'll briefly go over why you might want to study online with us, some of our FAQs, and then I do want to devote the majority of time to the Q&A. So if you have questions, you are welcome to pop them in the chat at any point, but you can also hold on to them until we get to the Q&A portion. All right, so one of the questions we get the most often is how to enroll in the program. And at Edinburgh Business School, we recognize that successful, motivated students come from a range of educational and professional backgrounds, and we are proud to extend a transformative education to all. We offer a performance-based admissions process that is inclusive and flexible. And while we do advise that you should meet a minimum academic level, it is not a requirement, and I'll go into more detail about this on the next slide. But if you feel ready to start studying, you can enroll immediately. You don't need to wait to enroll on a particular intake or to complete an application form. It's a very straightforward process. So we do offer a couple of different enrollment pathways. There is the standard admissions pathway that allows you to formally enroll in the program immediately. So if you go down this pathway, the student engagement team will eventually ask you to provide proof of a recognized first or second class honors degree or an international equivalent or an equivalent professional qualification. Also, if your first language is not English, we will request proof of your English language ability. But we do also offer performance-based admissions. So we recognize that not everybody may have an undergraduate degree, and that is all right. We still want to offer the program to everybody. So in this performance-based admissions pathway, you will formally enroll after successfully completing one of the core courses within your program. So we do have a pretty straightforward enrollment process. So I'll briefly go over the steps to enroll. So head to your chosen program page on our website, which is hw.ac.uk/online, and then click on the Enroll Now button. So you'll find it on a few different places on the page, but you can always find it right at the top. Then just follow the instructions. You'll enter your personal details, and I would just recommend here at the very top of the page, just make sure you have the correct program that you're interested in. After you enter your personal details, you'll be able to select the courses that you want to register for at this time. So you can choose to register for all of the courses, or if there's only a few that you want to do right now, you'll just make your selection then. And then you'll be directed to make your initial payment. Upon completion, our student engagement team will reach out to guide you through the subsequent steps. And this includes where if you're going down that standard admissions pathway, when you'll be asked to provide proof of your undergraduate degree and English language. And this will allow you to commence your studies promptly, and you don't have to wait for a fixed intake or undergo an application review. So it's a very quick process to get enrolled. If you're wondering about why you might want to consider studying online, at Heriot-Watt, we recognize that there is a need for professionals to develop their knowledge and skills alongside work and other commitments. Studying a postgrad degree through online learning allows you to obtain new knowledge and update existing skills and apply them to your workplace in real time, as well as expand your professional network. Integrating your study with full-time employment, your new skills and knowledge can immediately benefit yourself and your organization. So, learning online through Heriot-Watt University and Edinburgh Business School is completely asynchronous, so you can study at whatever time of day works for you. But that doesn't mean that you won't have support. We have a lot of support available for you. So the online ebooks are available 24/7. On weekdays, you can get academic support from the tutors on the courses. There'll be plenty of discussion boards and cafe areas for you to get to know your fellow classmates. There's introduction to digital study and academic skills, as well as LinkedIn learning. And if you need some extra help, we have plenty of things available for you as well. We are only an email away. You'll be able to message your tutors on Teams through chatting with them that way. And there's also the discussion forums on each of the programs. So you can create topics and discuss these areas with your academics and your fellow peers. There are students from all over the world with all different backgrounds, so you can get to learn about different experiences as well and how what they learned applies to their own circumstances. So one thing else I wanted to talk a little bit about is sitting the final assessment. So we do get a lot of questions about the assessment, and our programs offer unique, authentic assessments tailored to each program and aligned to their objectives. So it won't look the same for each of the courses, but there are some things that are the same. So we will set the date of your assessment, but you will have a 24-hour window in which you can complete the assessment. So basically, you'll download the paper onto your computer, write it, and then upload your answers through the student portal. You'll also have access to your notes, course materials, and the internet during the assessment, so it's completely open book. Everything that's within your virtual learning environment will still be available to you, so you can refer to it if need be, and all assessments will be available within the virtual learning environment. So you can choose any of the time of that day you want to study. Just make sure you do have internet connection that day. There are 3 assessment diets each year, and they take place in December, April, May, and July, August. So when you enroll on one of the programs, you'll be automatically registered for the assessment diet that's at least 3 months in the future, but you are welcome to push those dates back if need be. And this just can give you a general idea. So if, for example, December is a really busy time with work and you have a lot of deadlines there, you may know ahead of time that that wouldn't be the best time. So you can push your assessment to April, May, or July, August. So there is a lot of flexibility there. All right, so as I said at the beginning, I did want to leave most of the time for your questions. So please feel free to type them into the chat box or the Q&A. But if you do have any specific questions that you would like to ask us directly, you can always reach out to the enrollment team at HW Online Apps at hw.ac.uk. Great. So hopefully that was helpful, but please type in your questions or raise your hand and we'll be happy to help. And welcome to everybody who is joining. I see Clyde introduced himself from South Africa, so welcome, Clyde. I see some people are typing their questions as well. If anybody else also wants to just introduce themselves, feel free. I see. Hi, Amika. Thank you for joining us. Fantastic. And if you do think of questions later on, you're also always welcome to reach out to us at that email address or set up a call with us, and we'd be happy to go through things with you as well. All right, so I'm getting some questions here. So Jenny is interested in the MSc in Business and Organizational Psychology and wanting to know about how many courses to take at a time. Great question. So that does depend on you and what you have the capacity for. So basically, most of our students usually take one course at a time, just so it's easier to study and balance everything. But you can take up to 3 courses, 3 assessments per assessment diet. wouldn't necessarily recommend that just because life can get really hectic if you're studying all that much and also doing life and work, but it is a possibility. But most students do 1 or 2 at a time. So some will start out with 1 and just kind of see how it feels. And then for the next assessment diet, if they felt that that was manageable, they might make it so that they study 2. So there are some options available for you that way. Also depending on what time of year it is and how busy you might be. But yeah, you can choose however it works for you. So each course is about 200 study hours, which breaks out to be roughly 10 to 20 hours per week. So just depending on what demands there are on your time might help clarify how many you'd want to take at a time. But just so you know, like if you do register for 2 courses, and then as you're moving along, life got really busy and you think you only want to study on 1 right now, take that 1 during the assessment, or sorry, take 1 assessment during the next diet, you can push back the other one to a future assessment diet. So there is a lot of flexibility that way. All right. Another question we're getting is how many MBA modules are there and would it be a final assessment to complete per module? So yes, for the MBA or the MBA with a specialism, depending which you're interested in, there's going to be 9 modules or 9 courses that you'll be taking. So 6 of them are core that you don't have, they're mandatory, so that you're going to have to take them at some point. The other 3 are electives or they are the specialist courses. And you would have to take a final online assessment for each of them. So 100% of your mark will be based on these final online assessments, but then you wouldn't have another requirement after that. So you'd be taking 9 online assessments. All right, we're getting a question about short courses apart from a full MBA. So I think you might be referring to Coursera Career Academy. Amika, if I'm misinterpreting your question, please let me know. So when you register on a program with Edinburgh Business School, you will have access to the Coursera Career Academy, and these are short courses that you can take that are in addition to the MBA courses. So they're completely optional, but if you are interested in them, you are welcome to. There isn't a limit on the number of them that you take. They cover a wide variety of areas. I've seen some for digital security, some for real estate. So there's a wide number of options available to you. So those would just be something you would be studying on your own time, and you can often use them as things you can list on your CV that you took classes in. So there is that available as well, but that wouldn't count towards your MBA or any of the programs for the Edinburgh Business School in terms of the actual degree. I hope I answered that correctly, but if that was not what you're looking for, please just let me know. All right, Franklin is asking if there is a difference in the degree certificates on an online versus an on-campus degree, and no. The certificate is going to look exactly the same as the certificate that you would receive if you were studying on campus. It's the same information there. It doesn't mention it being online. It is the same qualification that a student who is studying in person will receive. So there's no mention of that being online anywhere on the degree certificate. If you do want to see a sample, please email us and we can send you a sample as well. And hello, Claudio. Let's see. All right, so Claudio is currently in Brazil. Welcome. And I believe you're asking here, if you completed postgraduate studies in the past, can you receive credit? So potentially. It depends on what you're studying, how long ago it's been. We do have this process called recognition of prior learning. So this is something we could potentially offer you. What I would say is email us at the at our email address on the screen now and let us know, and we can send you the recognition of prior learning form. And so basically there's information we'd need to collect from you, find out when you received these qualifications, and potentially we'd be able to recognize some of them. So you may be able to get credit for it. So that's a possibility, but it's not a guarantee. So just email us and we can send you the form. Okay. Claudio, okay, so about the dissertation or a capstone module, there isn't one in the MBA. So the only one that has something kind of similar would be the MBA with a specialism in professional practice. So that one is a little bit different. If that's something you're interested in, let me know, and I'm happy to go into more detail about it. But for the majority of our MBAs, it's basically you'll take the course, then you'll sit the final online assessment for it, and based on that, that's how you'll get your degree. So you'll be taking, if you don't get exemptions for anything, you'd be taking 9 online assessments, and your degree and transcript would reflect that. And yes, so you're asking also about the postgraduate certificate, postgraduate diploma, and the full degree. So our degrees are stackable. Basically, when you complete 3 of the MBA courses, you can apply to receive a digital postgraduate certificate. One of those 3 classes must be one of the core courses. So you can choose which one, but it would have to be at least one. You couldn't go do the 3 electives first to get the postgraduate certificate. After you get the postgraduate certificate, you can then take 3 more and you can apply to receive the postgraduate diploma. And then as you finish the remaining 3, you would then have the full degree. So you can apply to receive those as you move along, and those are things that you can reflect on your CV, that you have a postgraduate certificate when the time comes, that you have the postgraduate diploma, and then eventually the full MBA as well. Just keep in mind that as you reach each of those stepping stones, the previous one will no longer be valid. So once you reach that postgraduate diploma, the postgraduate certificate is no longer valid. When you reach the full MBA, then you have the full MBA, not the postgraduate diploma as well. So it's stepping stones to get there, but those are stones that you can use in the meantime. Okay, so Amika asking about the link to the school. So I believe we're talking about the Coursera Career Academy. So you would have direct access to it, but I will try to see if I can find a link to share with you that includes more information about the Coursera Academy so that you can look through it and kind of get a better idea. Give me one moment. Okay. So I just popped into the chat some information about the Coursera Career Academy. So feel free to look through that. And then if anything's not clear, the email address, happy to answer any questions, can go into a lot more detail about that as well. If anybody else has any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. If you'd like to send us an email, you are also welcome to. I know sometimes the questions can come up a little bit later, but if anything would be helpful, or if there were anything I covered in the presentation that you'd like me to go back to, also happy to do so. All right, I can see some people typing, so I will give it some time. Yes, if you joined late I'm happy to send you the presentation or go over some of the details. If there's anything that was really like you wanted to know about for sure, please let me know. Happy to go into more detail or go over it again. So don't worry about that. But yes, also happy to email you. All right, so I'm getting a question about scholarships and payment in fees. So we have what's called the Emerging Economies Scholarship, and that is an automatic scholarship that's based on the country of your residence. So just to be super clear, it's based on residence, not citizenship, but it is an automatic scholarship. So if you go to the Enroll Now button, and then there's that one personal details page, you'll be asked for your address, and then it will take a look and it will see if you're eligible for the scholarship. If you are, it'll be automatically applied, and the next page where you're selecting the courses, you'll be able to see the scholarship fees reflected. So it'll show you the fees with the scholarship. If you are interested in purchasing all the courses up front, you are eligible for an additional 20% discount. So this discount is available for everybody. So even if you aren't eligible for the Emerging Economy Scholarship, you are still eligible for this upfront discount if you are interested in purchasing all the courses. So there is the option to click the button on the purchase page that will select all the courses for you. And then it should select all the mandatory as well as the required number of optional courses. I would just double check that to make sure all the mandatory ones got selected so that the price difference can be reflected. You won't be tied to those elective modules if you don't know yet which ones you want to select. So it will select some for you. If you know which ones you're interested in, go for it. But if for whatever reason you're still debating between a few of them, that's completely fine. We can change those at a later point, as long as you haven't started studying them yet. But if you want to take advantage of that discount, just go ahead and select them at this point. But you are able to combine the Emerging Economy Scholarship and the upfront discount if you are eligible for both. All right. There's a question about any scheduled lectures or module courses, or do you only reach out when required? So everything that's included in the course fees is asynchronous. You study at whatever time of day you want. There isn't a live component, and you can reach out when you have any questions. When you are registering, you will be prompted to see if you're interested in adding live online tuition. So for these, it's a set number of sessions with an academic where they're going over the materials and answering questions live. So those are at a set date and a set time. They are completely optional. Some students find it helpful. Others find it not as useful for their preferred learning style. So it depends on what works for you, if you want to explore that or not. Just one thing to keep in mind when you are doing the registration process, and if you say that you want more details, it may not show if there's anything available just yet because the dates may not have been finalized, but we will email you if you're registered to let you know that this is now an option. So keep that in mind, and you'll see there'll be a date and time. They'll tell you the exact dates and times, and you can choose to add that on if you like to. If you want to add it on, but one of the dates doesn't work for you, you would still have access to the recording. So if like they're on Thursdays at 11 a.m. UK time, but one of those days is a deadline day at work and you're just not going to be able to join, you would still be able to access the recording if you had purchased these live online tuition. So that's something that you can look into if you're interested in. Also happy to go into more details if you'd like. But yes, and if you don't do the live online tuition, you are still able to reach out. If you have questions, you can post on the discussion forum and hear from the academics as well as your classmates. They can share their own experiences as well, or message them through Microsoft Teams. You can reach out to the academics that way as well. And Sharif is asking if the course is an MBA or an MSc, as well as the payment plan. So we offer an MBA. We do also offer MSCs. So it depends which course you're interested in. So the MBA, we have an MBA that's just the general MBA, and then we have MBA with specialisms. And some of our specialisms also are similar to the MSCs. So for example, we have an MBA with a specialism in business analytics, but we also have an MSc business analytics course. So it just depends which one you're going down and which one you're pursuing. The MBA with the specialism, that one is an MBA. The MSc business analytics, that one is an MSc. So if you know which one you're interested in, just or want more details, just let us know, and happy to go into more detail about that. We can also send you some information about the modules if that's something that you're more interested in exploring. And in terms of the payment plan, so we don't have installments. What you can do is you can pay per module. So as you register for a module, you'll pay for that one. So if you want to do the, let's say, one module at the beginning, you would select which one module you want to start with, and you would just pay for that one. And as you move on, if you want to take 1 or 2 modules, you would pay for those as you register for them. Alternatively, you can purchase them all up front, in which case you'd be eligible for that 20% discount. So it just depends what works for you. But you're absolutely able to pay as you register for the modules. And then in terms of graduation ceremonies, so everybody, once they complete their degree, will be invited to join us for our graduation ceremony in person, get a chance to meet your classmates and kind of get that atmosphere. Basically, you'll be invited to any of our campuses for it. So yes, you are very welcome to join us in Edinburgh. But if Dubai or Malaysia is better for you, you are also welcome to join us there instead. We don't provide visa support. You would be required to go through the visa process on your end. So for example, coming to the UK, you would likely be going through the standard visitor visa to come to graduation, but so you would be required to get the documents in that part, but you are very welcome to join us, and we do hope to see you there. It's a really fun time. The atmosphere is great, and it's really nice to see some of the students getting to see each other. Sometimes they'll coordinate amongst themselves and all arrive and meet up at the graduation ceremony. So it's a really great experience if you're able to join us. If there are any other questions, please feel free. We do still have a few more minutes, so go ahead and add them to the chat. But like I said, if you have any questions, you're also eligible to send it to us through the email if that's easier for you. Okay, we got a couple questions. Let's see. Okay, so if you're interested in the MSc Finance program and would like to know the entry requirements, as well as wondering about the international equivalent. So the entry requirements, we have 2 admission pathways. There's the standard academic admission pathway, as well as the, excuse me, the performance-based admission pathway. So if you're going down the academic pathway, we require a UK first or second class honors degree or the international equivalent or higher. So if you also have a postgrad degree as well, that could also be accepted. I don't know if a particular degree is considered the equivalent off the top of my head, but if you do email us, we can follow up with the admissions team and find out for you. So if you let us know what degree you got, where it's from, and your final mark, so the cumulative GPA or the final grade, let us know and we can follow up for you and let you know if that would be considered the equivalent and if that's eligible for the standard academic route. We would also potentially ask for proof of English language at that point if need be. So just keep that in mind, but feel free to send that to you and send that to us and we can follow up for you. Let's see. And then in terms of the performance-based admissions, so if you don't have an undergraduate degree or if for whatever reason the undergrad degree you received isn't considered an equivalent of what we're looking for, you can still go down the performance-based admissions pathway. So this way, you would just need to register in one of the core courses first before you're able to be formally enrolled in one of the programs the Edinburgh Business School offers. So for example, if you were interested in the MBA, you would take one of the 6 core courses for the MBA before you're able to register for the elective modules. But it isn't an additional cost. It isn't an additional course. It's just you'd have to take one of these courses first before you're formally enrolled. So there are options available. All right, and then there was a question about the MSc in supply chain and logistics being accredited by SIPS, and my colleague Vari answered in the chat, but just in case anybody hasn't checked the chat, it is accredited. It's also accredited by CILT, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. All right. I'm getting a question here about enrolling in 2 degrees like the MSc and the MBA simultaneously. So you aren't able to take the 2 degrees at the same time, as the courses do overlap and there are restrictions in terms of how many courses are able to be applied, how much like previous study is able to be applied for degrees. So it's not something you're able to do at the same time. You can do the MBA and then like the Coursera courses, those short-term small courses, those are able to be done, but you aren't able to do an MBA and an MSc at the same time. We're getting a question about format of the courses. So this is a fully online remote MBA. The only in-person component is if you are interested in joining us at graduation, and like I said, hope you do, but that we don't have an option for hybrid courses. So if that's something you're interested in, unfortunately, that's not something that we offer. Everything is fully online, so you can study wherever you are in the world. All right, getting a question about assessments and platforms. Okay, so the question is if everything is based on the final online assessment, or if there's other quizzes and assignments along the way. So there'll be checkpoint quizzes throughout the course just to make sure your understanding is on track, but those are for you. Your mark is based entirely on the final online assessment. So you'll just need to have access to that. That's the one where you should really be preparing and getting yourself in a good mental space for. There isn't group work or anything like that that you'll be assessed on. It is the final online assessment, and on a lot of the modules where possible, we'll include samples of previous online assessments so that you're not going in completely blind. You'll have an idea about what to expect, but your course mark will be based on that online assessment. And getting a question about qualifying for the Emerging Economy Scholarship while taking advantage of the discount from paying for the entire course up front. So yes, those two can be combined. If you are eligible for the Emerging Economy Scholarship and you are able to pay for all the courses upfront for that 20% discount, you can combine the two. So you can only have one discount and one scholarship there. So those two can be combined, but you couldn't, for example, if you are an alumni of Heriot-Watt, there is an alumni discount, but it couldn't also be combined with the upfront discount. But the Emerging Economy Scholarship and the upfront discount, those two can be combined. And so when you go through the enrollment process, there's the first page, which is the personal details, the second page where you select the courses, and this is where you would select all of them if you want to take advantage of the upfront discount. Or by all of them, I do mean the ones that are the 9 courses. Some of the courses have more options than there are requirements, of course, so you just make the selection that you need to. And then the third page would then show you the total fee, and it would include the discount and the Emerging Economy Scholarship if you are eligible. And like I said, the Emerging Economy Scholarship is automatically applied. So once you fill in the personal details form, if you are eligible, the next page will reflect the scholarship price. So you can absolutely combine the scholarship with the upfront discount. All right, if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to type them in. We do have a few more minutes left, but if you think of questions beforehand, or if you're in a very specific situation and you'd rather ask us privately, please feel free to email us at hwonlineapps@hw.ac.uk, and we can get back to you individually as well. But if there's anything you're wondering about, please feel free to put it into the chat. All right, so we're getting a question about how long the program takes. So basically, you can complete the program in the time period that works for you, and it can differ a little bit if you're doing an MBA versus one of the MSCs. There can be a little bit more requirement for the MSCs to take the projects that you have to do, or the reflective portfolios, after you complete the other courses, so it might take a little bit longer. So in terms of the MBA, it can be completed theoretically in about a year. So there is 3 assessment diets per year, and you can take up to 3 assessments per assessment diet. So you could theoretically finish it in a year. Like I mentioned before, that can be really hectic if you're also trying to balance personal and work responsibilities. So we don't recommend taking more than 2 assessments per assessment diet, but everybody is different, and it may be at particular times of year that's more feasible than others. So that's just something to keep in mind. But you do have up to 8 years to complete the degree. So most students fall in the 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 year range to complete the degree, but you do have up to 8 years to finish everything. Once you start a particular module, you have 2 years to complete it, so just keep that in mind. But we do want it to give everybody the chance to finish everything, and we know life can get a little bit busy and hectic, so we do have the flexibility for you to complete the degree in up to 8 years. If you're taking the MSCs, it is a very similar time frame. It just, for some of them, the shortest time frame is usually about a year and a half. So just keep that in mind. Let us know if there's one in particular that you're wondering about, but it's a fairly flexible program that way. Just there's those 3 assessment diets that you need to keep in mind. All right, so there are more questions about the assessment and the time frame to complete everything. So I believe the MSc in supply chain can be completed in a year if you're doing the full course load, but I would recommend emailing us just so we can double check that. But yes, just keep in mind as well that there are the 3 assessment diets. We aren't able to be flexible on the dates that the assessments are on. So there's the possibility that the assessment will be scheduled, like if you're doing 2 assessments, they might be scheduled for the same day. So just keep that in mind while you're registering. And then I would say just try to switch around the assessments or switch around the modules that you're taking so that they are on separate days so that you can breathe a little bit and prepare and not be trying to complete 2 assessments on the same day. So just keep that in mind. But the degrees can theoretically be finished in 1 year. And then if one course is taken per assessment diet in an MBA with a specialism, it seems that the estimated MBA could be completed in 3 years. Yes, that is absolutely correct. So we do have a number of people who will do 1 assessment per assessment diet. So you're just concentrating on that 1 course, you take the test, and then you move on during the next assessment. And then yes, you'd be done in about 3 years. You don't have to take an assessment every assessment diet. So if July, August is a really busy time and you just know you're not going to be able to do assessments during that time, it will be too much. You don't have to take it during then as well. You can push them to other assessment diets. But yes, if you do 1 per assessment diet, you'd be done in about 3 years. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions right now. We do have about 2 more minutes. So feel free to type them in the chat. But if you do have any questions, always you can reach out to us, hwonlineapps@hw.ac.uk. And you also have, I just put up our socials there just so you can see them as well. And I see a question here about a DBA program. So I work exclusively with the postgraduate programs, the MBAs and the MSCs primarily. We are also offering a BSc, but it is a different team that works with the DBA. I can find the email address for you though if you have questions about the DBA and what kind of study formats they have and what the process is like. Just give me 1 moment. Okay, so if you're interested in the DBA, please email the email address I just popped into the chat, which is ebs.dbainquiries@hw.ac.uk, and the team there would be happy to help you. All right, so we are just about at the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us. Happy to go into more detail about anything. Really appreciate all of you joining me today. There were some excellent questions. I hope you found it useful. But any questions, let us know. As I've mentioned, there's no set intakes, so you are able to join us whenever you want to. We hope to see you join us soon. If there's anything that we can provide to make your decision easier, that will help you register, just let us know. But we look forward to hopefully seeing you soon, and have a lovely rest of your day. Bye, everybody.